And well, we're just playing back that famous conversation between Bryan Acheampong and a journalist from Onua FM on the things you said, specifically on whether or not Rock City was in the position to absorb the SNIT hotels. And throughout the interview, one thing he kept saying was that you basically lie all the time. I don't know if you listen, and what's your response to that?
Well, good morning to you, Sana. Good morning to all the listeners of Radio Gold. The Honorable Bryan Acheampong has since been exposed so badly that he has gone under the radar after those very scathing, totally unfair attacks on my person, calling me a liar, saying that I don't speak to facts, claiming that I don't have any documents, I have not intercepted any filings from the GRA. The next day, I put out the documents, all the filings from 2021 to 2024, his entire record at the Ghana Revenue Authority. So, the person who says that I have no documents, I am only fabricating, I am only concocting, he has been exposed. Indeed, on the panels that I have been on various media networks, I go with copies and I give copies to MPP members and the host of those programs. When you go through the filings from 2021 to 2024, I stand vindicated that Rock City is clearly struggling. Rock City cannot compare itself to Labadi Beach Hotel, and that the claims I made are spot on, absolutely accurate. If you look at the financial statements of Labadi Beach Hotel, consistently they are making profits. Last year, they posted a gross profit of 158 million. They have a working profit of 58 million. They have cash, reserve cash in their accounts of 58.4 million. They paid dividends to government to the tune of 25 million only last year. The year before, 10 million. Labadi Beach Hotel's assets run into billions. These are contained in their financial statements published by the reputable Deloitte. And if you look at their filings, Labadi Beach Hotel, over the last 3 years, has paid taxes to government to the tune of 20.5 million Ghana cedis. The last 3 years alone. Now, when you compare that to what Rock City Hotel Limited, owned by Bryan Acheampong, has presented to the Ghana Revenue Authority. 2021, they themselves told the Ghana Revenue Authority that they will make losses. They wouldn't make any profits. It's there. It's all in the documents. Then, guess what? 2 years after, in 2023, they come back to GRA and say that for 2021, we got some 2 small transactions. We paid withholding taxes amounting to some 20,000 Ghana cedis. Then you come to 2022. Will you believe that for 2022, they didn't file their taxes at all? The whole year. Indeed, they didn't file their taxes for 2 good years. And the irony, what is very striking, is that they only rushed to the GRA to make good their tax obligations after my expose and after my Shraj petition. Can you believe that? So I go to Shraj on the 17th of May, 2024. Then they rushed to the GRA a week after, 23rd May, 2024, saying that, 2 years ago we didn't pay our taxes. So we are here to make good our tax obligations. We want to let you know that we didn't make profit for 2022, so we don't have any tax to pay. Then they come back later in the day, that same day, when you go through the documents, that we think that we can be assessed to pay pay some taxes. Let's do an adjustment, and we are willing to pay about 380,000 cedis in taxes. So we no longer made losses. We think that we can pay some corporate income tax. I mean, bizarre development when you go through these documents. Then you look at 2023. Again, 2023, they went to the GRA March this year and told them that for 2023, they anticipate that they will make losses. Looking at their first quarter operations and looking at their projections, they would not declare any profits. It's all in the documents. It's all in the, so I am not making anything up. And you see, if he hadn't pushed us, what he has done has opened fresh can of worms. Now, 2021, he didn't file his taxes. 2022, he didn't file taxes for Rock City Hotel. The question that arises, therefore, is how did they get their tax clearance certificate to participate in the bid? Under Ghana's laws, if you pay regard to the Income Tax Act of 2015, any government tender that you put in a bid for, the basic requirement is a tax clearance certificate. And when you read SNIT's own notice to the world advertising, calling for tenders for the strategic investors to come take over their hotels, they themselves list the pre-qualification criteria, as they call it. And on that list is that you must have a valid tax clearance certificate. Now, we all know that under our laws, if you haven't filed your taxes, you cannot obtain a tax clearance certificate. So a company that defaulted didn't file their taxes and only filed their taxes after my expose. How did they get a tax clearance certificate to participate in the bid? Why were they not disqualified? Under our laws, they should immediately, promptly have been disqualified. Promptly. They should promptly have been disqualified. So it is exceedingly strange that you have the Honorable Bryan Acheampong rather going round bragging, calling me names, saying that he will gift me his hotel, and by the way, he doesn't seem to even know where his hotels are located. That hotel is not in my constituency. He kept saying that he will dash me the hotel in my constituency. Akosombo Hotel, which he says he has bought, is in the Esojaman constituency. It is not in my constituency. Then I must also make the point that if you look at the fact that as we speak, SNIT is claiming that this whole transaction, this Rock City bid, was the best bid, the most technically competent, the most financially competent. Nothing can be further from the truth if you look at the facts that have now emerged. And then, you know, to even make matters worse, as we speak, Mr. Freddie Blay has just granted an interview to TV3 where he's claiming that his son, the 34-year-old son who put in a bid, you know, I revealed that one of the companies, Spartan Ives, is owned by Freddie Blay's son. Now it has forced them to come clean. Mr. Freddie Blay is now claiming that they put up a bid of about 150 to 200 million. So how come
dollars or cedis?
SNIT, the transaction is a dollar transaction, so it must be dollars.
Okay.
Even though in the interview he doesn't mention, but it is safe to assume because it was a dollar denominated transaction. Now, if you look at what Rock City has offered, $61 million, compared with what Freddie Blay's son, the 34-year-old who is able to mobilize $150 to $200 million. A lot of wonders are happening under this Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Now, the question is, why did they choose $61 million, you know, and not the $150 to $200 million. Meanwhile, if you look at SNIT's own valuation report of the hotels, the valuation report indicates very clearly that these hotels, the 4 hotels, should not go for anything below $121 million. So even those who are saying that, you know, ignore the conflict of interest, ignore the ethical issues, the moral issues, the fact that this is so, you know, condemnable and doesn't happen anywhere in the world where government officials declare state assets unprofitable, not fit for the rest of us, and yet they turn around to buy it. Ignore all of those arguments. Even if you come to value for money, just pure value for money, it is absolutely clear that this transaction does not meet the value for money test. And there's so much murkiness, so much opacity, so much, you know, dubiousness, and all kinds of, you know, claims that are most shocking. And that is why I am glad that yesterday, in scaling up our agitation and our demand for accountability, we have filed an RTI request demanding 3 things. 1, SNIT should tell us what kind of tax clearance certificate Rock City presented and why Rock City was not disqualified from the bid. 2, we are also demanding full tender evaluation report. We want to see the tender evaluation reports. How is it that we can have a bid without a tax clearance certificate? We can have a company that is amongst the lowest bidders according to Freddie Blay. If Freddie Blay's son was able to come up with $150 to $200 million, why leave that? Why leave the kindness, the benevolence of the Blay family? See how they were coming to rescue us with $150 to $200 million. Why leave that and go for the paltry $61 million? So we want to know the content of that valuation report, that tender valuation report. We are demanding that according to the right to information law, which gives us the right to demand that. Then the third request we are making is that we want the minutes of these meetings. What were the thought processes? What were the considerations? What kind of analysis did they do? You know, that will let them gloss over a company that did not have a tax clearance certificate. A company that clearly, if you look at their financials, they were telling the GRA that we are making losses. We don't have any tax to pay. And they were not even filing. And you see, look at the horrible corporate governance record of Rock City. And this is the company that is coming to save Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Beach, Elmina Beach, Ridge Royal. They are coming to teach them good corporate practices. Can you believe that? Rock City, that doesn't pay taxes for 2 years, doesn't file, it is fined for their bad conduct. They are the ones coming to teach these, profitable hotels, well-managed hotels, good corporate practices. It's incredible. It's totally incredible. Whichever way you look at this matter, it is just shocking. And that is why we are not going to stop the agitation, the demand that they take their hands off our hotels. And I want to continue to salute the chiefs and people of the Greater Accra region and all those who join us from across the country for last week's mammoth hands off our hotels demonstration. We haven't seen a demonstration with those numbers in a very, very long time. And I don't recall any time we had a demonstration that chiefs were at the forefront. I want to salute the guard chiefs. I want to salute the large chief priests and led by the Awulomo, the Lakpa Awulomo, Ni Yemo Ubroni the seventh, for their courage, for their patriotism. I salute organized labor. I salute all the opposition parties who joined us, from NDC, PNC, CPP, the Minority Caucus, the youth groups, the United Gadangbe Caucus, and all our partners, the TUC, the Ghana Federation of Labor, all of them, for that massive demonstration, which sent a very clear message to the president that these are our hotels. If these hotels are good for Bryan Acheampong, they are good for Freddie Blair and his sons, they can be good for all of us. In any case, if these people have the expertise to manage these hotels, that's why they are in government. Why do we send people to cabinet? The Honorable Bryan Acheampong is in cabinet. He should bring this expertise to bear. He shouldn't say that he will only bring this expertise to bear when these hotels become his private entities, when he owns them. That cannot be right. That cannot be patriotism. And as Abraham Kumsin has said, if he's so fixated on managing hotels, that is the only expertise he has, he can't even save us with our food crisis, then the president should just appoint him the CEO of these hotels, so that he rescues the hotels that they claim are not worth it, and ought to be sold. So our message is very, very clear. These hotels were built with workers' contributions. Workers are saying that we are not going to consent. We are not going to allow you to sell it. And fundamentally, we are saying that it is totally abominable. It is abhorrent. It is despicable. It is disgusting for government officials to sit in cabinet and participate in the sale of state assets and buy them. It is the height of conflict of interest, especially when this government official has not even gone through the test, has not gone through the basic requirements, where if you really have nothing to hide, if you don't have a conflict of interest, issue, to hide from. The Constitution under Article 78 and Article 98 says that submit yourself to the committee of members holding profits in Parliament. Let them assess you and the transaction you are going to engage in. The Speaker will also assess and then grant you a certificate. The Honorable Bryan Acheampong did not do that. So, if SNIT was doing proper due diligence, they should not even have allowed him, because he is one of two directors. He's a director in the company. He's a sole shareholder. He's a sole beneficial owner. Rock City is him, and he's Rock City. So beneficial owner. If Rock City makes profits, it comes to him. Everything comes to him. He doesn't share with anybody, according to his incorporation documents. So look at all these constitutional breaches. Article 78, Article 98, Article 284 of our Constitution. So this deal stinks to the high heavens, and that is why we are not going to allow this deal to go through. And even moving forward, we have said we are working on the private members bill, and I can assure you, Senate, that we've come very far. Very soon we'll publish it, and we'll do a round table stakeholder consultation to take inputs from everybody. We are going to insist that politically exposed persons, politicians, particularly those in power, should not be allowed anywhere near state assets. They should not be allowed to purchase state assets. Because I am convinced that once we pass this law and politicians are banned from buying state assets, you will see what will happen. A lot of these sales will stop. A lot of these sales. Because how does it make sense that, it is not good. It's a horrible state asset. It's not worth it. And yet, the very people who tell all of us that these assets are not good, see how they clamor for them. How many weeks now? How many weeks now?
In fact, I need to bring this to a close, and I need to ask you a few direct questions. One, do you have because he mentioned specifically the 2023 tax filing. Do you have those documents available to you?
Yes. So For 2023, they went to GRA in March 2024, this year, and said that they are filing their first quarter and that their projection is that they will make losses. They made no profit for their first quarter, and then they projected that they will make losses. It's all there in the March 2024 filings. Okay, it's there. The records are very clear.
Secondly, you've been offered Intercontinental Hotel. You've also been offered Trasaco House that he doesn't use for anything. He even offers that if you do not want the house for your personal use, you can give it to any NGO of your choosing. Are you ready to provide those evidence and claim the price?
I will not be part of all of that really condescending and offensive offense. Look, have I told him that I am homeless? Have we told him that we are doing this for personal gain? All of what we are engaged in is to protect our country, is for the progress of our country, the welfare of our country, to protect Ghanaian workers. It has nothing to do with personal gain. He can keep his hotels and his homes. I'm not interested. Clearly, he has engaged in a costly bet. Ideally, he should lose those properties, but I'm not interested. I'm not doing this for personal gain.
Now, let me conclude by asking one question, because throughout the interaction with the journalist, is talked about you lying on many occasions, and then he's also talking about you engaging in assassination of character, and then finally he says you hate him. Do you hate Mr. Bryan Acheampong?
You see, ad hominem fallacy. When people can't speak to issues, they can't speak to facts, then they engage in baseless attacks. What has hate got to do with this? It's the principle. So 16 years ago, when I took Jacob Echebilamte to the Supreme Court in a spirited effort to stop him from purchasing his bungalow, this same principle that politicians, government officials should not be allowed to buy state assets. How can bungalows that from incumbent ministers served every government well, renovated not too long ago to your taste at taxpayer expense, then you turn around and buy it for cheap? It is the same principle. So I did what I did to Jacob Echebilamte because I hate him. And all those who are bringing tribal, I saw a press conference by some Ashanti youth saying that I hate Ashantis. Clearly that's what they have been told to say. Can you people speak to the facts? Do you think that this is right? That there are no conflict of interest issues? How can you offer such a low bid and it to be accepted? No value for money. The valuation report says Elmina, for example, should go for not less than $7 million. He's offering only $2 million. Can you speak to that? Why were you not disqualified? If it was Sena Numbo's company without a tax clearance certificate, he would have been disqualified. You will even be sacked. That don't come and waste our time. You are not a serious company.